Resident Evil, the final chapter, eh? Well, finally, we won't have to be sitting through another one of these pieces of garbage. Or do we? So this film is supposedly the final chapter in Paul W.S. Anderson's poorly reviewed horror action franchise based on the video game series of the same name. As the wide majority of moviegoers utter to the world ad nauseum, video game films suck ass. Disposable characters and flesh without substance are what we've come to expect from such films. They're really quite impermeable to goodness. So when you expect almost nothing out of the 7th installment of a milked out franchise and still come out of the theater angry and feeling cheated out of your money, then you know you have dealt with one colossal pile of garbage. This movie starts off with a narration by our main character, Alice, played by Mia Jovovich, in which she explains the events of the first film. Cut to her emerging out of the sewers of a totally decimated and barren Washington, D.C. And after fighting some dragon-like monster thing, Alice learns that there's an antidote for the airborne T-virus that has turned the majority of the human race into zombies. The antidote is hidden in the Hive, which happens to be at the heart of the evil Umbrella Corporation. And this would mean having to make the journey back to Raccoon City where this whole mess started. Oh, and another thing, Alice has 48 hours to save the world. And on the journey to Raccoon City, she meets with familiar faces and new faces who happen to be also among the last of human survivors. With Resident Evil, the final chapter, we run into the same batch of problems that we do with almost every goddamn video game film out there. All the shoddy script ever does is try to find an excuse to give us chaotic action scene after chaotic action scene. We get an overload of these, followed by the occasional robotic plot exposition which obviously fails to engross the audience or make them care about the situation at hand. So paper thin, so hollow were these characters that I could not give a rat's ass whether they lived or they died. So with an unpleasant mix of excessive action force feeding and completely disposable characters, should Paul W.S. Anderson really be surprised that the twists on the mythology by the third act of the film have no effect at all? Even the performances didn't ring true for me either. For me, the entire cast looked like they just wanted to get this whole thing over with and collect their paychecks. To add insult to injury, I was not even entertained in the action department. The action extravaganza that is meant to distract us from a poor plot is actually crappy too. And yeah, we do want to see Alice kick some ass and mow down zombies, but does everything have to be so poorly edited? Paul W.S. Anderson has a way of rendering potentially pleasing action sequences to be completely intolerable. And I think everybody already pointed out the main problem in these action sequences. The fucking jump cuts. There were times where there were literally 3 to 4 rapid cuts in one goddamn second. I couldn't make out what was going on at all. So in addition to the fact that there was nothing in this film worth giving a shit about, I was actually given a fucking headache with these action sequences. So the excessive and poorly done action sequences, hollow characters, and completely unsatisfying twist, we can only hope that Resident Evil, the final chapter, is indeed the final nail in the coffin for this overmilked franchise. The ending monologue of the film suggests otherwise, which means that we probably have to suffer through another one of these dumpster pieces at some point in the future. Resident Evil, the final chapter, is just bad, and I mean really, really, really crap. I'm gonna give this film a pathetic 2 out of 10. I'm actually being generous. This film isn't worth dog shit on a penny. Avoid it like the T-virus, you hear me guys? So these are my thoughts on Resident Evil, the final chapter. What did you think? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you like what I do, give me a like, hit that big subscribe button, stay tuned, and I will see you on the next one.